Hey guys, what's up? My name is Wigwam, and I'm here today hoping that you don't have horrible flashbacks of spending all of your money on Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic the Gathering cards while we discuss SteamWorld Quest. SteamWorld Quest Hand of Gilgamesh is the most recent entry in the SteamWorld franchise, a franchise that has spanned games of numerous different varieties at this point. They're not consistent in genre, but they have a consistent overall tone and feel, and they're consistently good. But let's see if SteamWorld Quest can keep up the trend of being good. Releasing on Steam on May 31st for $25, it's from Image Inform Games. This will be SteamWorld's first foray into the card-building RPG genre, as opposed from the digging genre, or whatever this other game was that I can't recall at the memory. Just put it on the screen. That game looks good, but I don't remember. SteamWorld Quest is, of course, a role-playing card game, not meaning that you'll have to dress up like Exodia, but just meaning that you'll be using cards as your turn-based RPG mechanics. You control 3 delightful robot companions battling their way through a surprisingly in-depth story. Gameplay starts off simple enough and quickly builds, adding new mechanics at a pace that keeps the game from feeling overwhelming for newbies, but fun and intriguing. Speaking as someone who's never played a card-building RPG game before, I could say that I was quickly sucked in without ever feeling overwhelmed or like I was getting too much at once. The mechanics of the game are simple enough to understand. The game is a turn-based card game. You start each fight with 6 cards in your hand. Your deck is made up of 8 cards per character. You can play 3 cards from the same hero to get chains for extra effects, or there are combo cards as well by playing certain cards in conjunction with certain other characters. You get to customize and build your own decks using your inventory of cards, as long as they don't exceed over 8 cards per person. During turns, you can play either normal attack or support cards that will help you build up steam power, or more powerful cards that will use steam power. It's a fairly simple ebb and flow to gameplay. But just because it's simple to jump into doesn't mean that it's simple to master at all. It's that wonderful balance of easy to get into for a chapter or two, but then once they feel like they've really got you comfortable with it, they pull the rug out from under you and throw you some hardcore boss that will definitely kick your ass at least once. I did not go without my fair share of game overs in this game. Typically, most bosses would completely kick my ass the first time, but I would be able to reevaluate my strategy, figure out what their strengths and weaknesses were, and come back with an entirely new deck and completely wipe the floor with their ass on the second go through. This game is fantastic for building strategies, as the first time you go through areas and see enemies you may feel lost, like you don't know what to do, but it's never unfair. It's always just a challenge to quickly learn your enemies' weaknesses, their strengths, and to build your decks around the area that you're in or the bosses that you're fighting, and it provides a wonderfully fantastic feedback loop for the player. It feels so rewarding to go back into a boss a second time and just absolutely kick their big dumb asses. In addition to the card-based mechanics of this game, the RPG elements of this game also add a wonderful layer of strategy. They introduce equipable items and trinkets for stat boost, as well as certain items giving you certain chain effects in the card game battle. You also add things such as status ailments, type effects, all of your typical turn-based RPG combat just turned into card form. And while the game starts off simple enough, like I said, once you get to some bosses, you will immediately start to see an increase in difficulty. Each chapter did feel like a great increase in difficulty, but not so great that you couldn't overcome it, but at the perfect level of constantly feeling rewarded with new challenges without ever feeling overwhelmed or crushed by the incredible difficulty. Looking at you, Sekiro. To get more specific, let's talk about the Chapter 2 boss. While the Chapter 1 was a complete breeze from start to finish, the Chapter 2 boss destroyed my whole face. My face is gone now. This is a new face. I had to get to replace the old face that was destroyed by said boss. When you get to the second boss, you'll find that he has attacks that do more damage based on how much health you have missing, which can take up to 1/3 of your health towards the final hit and completely decimate you. On top of that, he can hit your whole party at once with one massive group attack. He can even steal your health, making him an absolute tedious ass pain until you lose, and then rebuild your deck and come back with a new strategy, focusing more on healing and defense to combat all of his annoying, tedious little strategies. And suddenly, as you start to feel yourself getting further and further along in the battle, and see your health not dipping down while he dips down to 300, 200, 100, it's an incredibly fun and satisfying reward for a strategy well thought out and executed. The game features other mechanics that you've probably seen before as well, nothing totally innovative but well executed nonetheless. For example, you can hit enemies right off of the gate and they'll start with a little less health because you got the jump on them. The RPG element weaknesses are pretty much exactly what you'd expect. You can douse enemies with water and then shoot them with electricity. Certain types are weak to certain other types. It's your basic rock, paper, scissors, Pokemon kind of trifecta thing here. But while I'm sure a lot of what goes into this game isn't exactly completely innovative or new, it is extremely well executed and fun, and that is the most important part. The gameplay is overall addicting and just challenging enough constantly to never make you feel discouraged while constantly making you feel rewarded. I ran into my fair share of game overs on this journey as I learned the ins and outs of the different enemies, but I never felt cheated. Every time I died, I was eager to tweak my decks and get right back in with a new strategy. Every death felt like a learning experience, and no area overstayed its welcome. Additionally, since the game is constantly throwing you new cards and weapons, there's always new decks to try, synergies to test, and strategies to come up with. Of course, no game is perfect. I would have my minor nitpicks. Small nitpicks I might have would be I would like to be able to end my turn without playing all of my cards. The game forces you to play any cards you're able to. While a normal turn you play 3 cards, the game will always try to make you get as close to playing 3 cards as possible. It'll make you swap out cards, draw cards, whatever you can do to possibly get an opportunity to play 3 full cards. Only if you have exhausted all options will it let you play less than 3 cards. This can be annoying in instances where I either A, I'm only 1 hit away from killing the enemy and would just like to quickly move this process along, and B, if I'm trying to conserve steam power for future moves, it may force me to use a card that uses steam power because it may be my only available option. Now maybe this was an intended feature of gameplay, but it's not one that I particularly cared for. Apart from that, I would maybe have a few minor gripes about gameplay, but it's a fairly simple concept and well executed. There's not too much to nitpick or gripe about as a whole. But of course the game isn't just gameplay. It's about 80% gameplay, but there's other factors too that may make you want to buy or not buy a game, such as the presentation. Things like the music and the sound effects. Well, I'm happy to report that they're awesome. I loved it. The soundtrack was fantastic. It's fitting with the tone of the fantasy world that it sets up, while also being fun to listen to. Battles can be a little on the slower side at times, so you want music that will have a nice, lasting appeal to you, something that you can listen to for a long period of time without getting tired of it. And SteamWorld Quest certainly delivers on this principle. While I wouldn't say it's the best video game music I've ever heard by any means, it's certainly good, and certainly above what it needed to be. And of course there's the visual sides of the presentation too, being the graphics and the theming. We're set in a wonderful little fantasy quest world. I love SteamWorld's various types of presentation and design. Wonderful character designs that never disappoint, and this game is no exception to that rule. SteamWorld Quest takes the usual wonderful steampunk world that SteamWorld has delivered to us and throws it into a fantasy setting, adding knights and wheat fields and little huts and villages and swords and all this awesome fantasy straight out of Lord of the Rings, Game of the Thrones style settings, and it blends better than you could ever imagine. I love the visual style of this game, the way the graphics are done, the way that we have these more realistic drawings. I get a little tired of pixel art sometimes. I love pixel art. There's some fantastic pixel art games out there, but like, not every game needs to be pixel art, and when it's not pixel art and it's good, it's SteamWorld Quest. Colorful worlds with diverse backgrounds. Every area you go to feels new. There's tons of worlds to visit, tons of areas to explore, tons of character designs to be impressed and charmed by. It's just a delight from start to finish visually. And moving on from the presentation to everything else. Of course, I want to focus a little bit on the story because this game has a story, and normally in a card-based game like this, you may be like, I don't need a story. Who needs a story? I'm just putting down cards, playing some basic RPG strats. Well, you're getting one anyways, and it was pretty satisfying, quite frankly. I didn't have enough time to finish through the whole game because there's like a ton of chapters, but I'm going to after this video because the game is so delightfully fun. Like I said, spoilers for the end of the review. I'm recommending the game. It's a really good game, but the story immediately pulled me in and intrigued me. It started me off in a very basic setting. We were just a couple of novice heroes in the woods, not really having any expertise, kind of the bumbling hero stereotype, and we were just off to collect mushrooms, but we're immediately after the first level thrust into this big, grand adventure, and as soon as you start to get sucked in by the characters' charming personalities, the story is not gonna pull its hooks out of you. You are trapped into wanting to know what the hell is gonna happen in this story. Our main characters all fill kind of various stereotypes that you may find in a fantasy setting like this: the bumbling knight, the young arcanist, the tinkerer that doesn't want to leave his mom's basement. While they're not wholly unique, again, they're very well executed. This whole game could kind of be summed up as not entirely unique, but incredibly well executed. You can put that on the box. I approve that message. They probably won't want to put that on the box. But to me, it doesn't matter so much if something is new when it is pulled off this well. Like I said, you're immediately gonna fall in love with the characters. If you can't find one of these characters to relate to, then you are especially dead inside. Like, more so than the average millennial is dead inside. You are, like, especially dead inside. Because they're delightful, and they're fun, and they have great designs, and you're gonna fall in love with them. There's no more to say it than that. Overall, that's my quick review of SteamWorld Quest. Needless to say, I am wholly recommending to the game. If you've never played a card-based tactical RPG like myself, and even like myself, if you think that that's probably not something you'll be into, this is certainly the game you should try if you have even the slightest inkling that you may enjoy something like that. I was surprised at how quickly I got addicted to both the game mechanics and the story of this game. It's a total delight from every second I've played with it. I'm excited to stop recording this review right now so I can go finish it. By the time you see this review, it'll be out now on Steam, and it's out on the Nintendo Switch. It's $25. If nothing else, go put it on your wish list and just give it a try, because I guarantee you, you're gonna like this game. If you enjoyed this review, like, comment, subscribe down below. I make reviews, weekly update stuff, all sorts of crazy videos go on this channel, stuff I guarantee you're gonna like if you liked this. I love all of your beautiful faces, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will catch you guys in my next video, or on stream, or in your house, because I'm living there under your bed. Just kidding about one of those. Bye!